share this roundtable with Mr. Hamzi Hamzeh, Jordan Renewable Energy Fund, and Mr. Hana Zaghloul, Kawar Energy Jordan, and I'm keen to benefit from their practical view on this topic and especially on the situation in Jordan. If you allow me, I will use a quick presentation of some element coming from an organization I'm the chairman of, which is called Observatoire Méditerranéen de l'Énergie. And this is an association of energy companies, all kinds of energies, from the north and the south of the Mediterranean region. And this study has been made in cooperation with an agency on energy efficiency in the context of the COP22 in Marrakesh. You may remember that in Marrakesh, all the countries who had decided to sign the Paris Agreement in Paris a year ago have been able to present their nationally determined contribution, which is a commitment to take some actions in order to contribute to the fight against climate change and in order to reach the 2-degree limit. And of course, all the countries of the Mediterranean region have provided this national determined contribution. And the purpose of the study is to see how it translates in the energy scenario for the region. And we had some element of information I will try to present to you to start. I will not enter into this detail, but you have in this table the commitment made by the countries of the Mediterranean region. And you could see maybe that the kind of commitment are quite different from one country to another, but they all have committed to try to contribute to the success of the Paris Agreement. The Mediterranean energy demand is growing tremendously, and of course much more in the north, in the south, and this is the yellow blocks, compared to the north, where, depending on the business as usual scenario or taking into account the national determined contribution of the northern state of the Mediterranean region, the demand for energy will at least stabilize or even decrease. On the contrary, the south and eastern part of the region is growing in any scenario its energy demand, just because the per capita energy demand today is very different from the north to the south. And even with the evolution we see, there will still be a quite significant difference between the per capita use of energy in the south compared to the north. Then, in other words, the needs are in the south, and the technology are in the north, but we don't use it there, more or less. There is huge potential for energy savings, including in the south. And you have on that figure the kind of energy savings possible depending on the scenario, and especially if all the countries are respecting their commitment. You see the influence of on the fuel consumption, fuel savings, compared to the business as usual scenario. And then there will be a little bit of saving of coal. We talked about coal a few minutes ago, a little bit of oil, but the big difference is on gas. And the conclusion is that, gas is the fuel of adjustment for the region. You know, if the region succeed in or doesn't succeed in really making progress in decarbonizing its energy mix, then the gas will be used in a very large amount. You have also the same kind of comparison, you know, for electricity generation, and not only the whole energy. And in the south, you know, renewable will reach, according to the scenario meeting the national determined contribution, only 18% of the total mix, compared to a situation today with 15%. But of course, the total amount of electricity is much bigger. And of course, the situation in the north, you know, is quite different, and there is probably some more room to increase the share of renewable in the north than in the south. And how it translates into power capacity in the south, we focus on the south, you know, and depending on the scenario, you know, the business as usual or the respect of the national determined contribution, and even a third scenario which is more ambitious than just the determined contribution of each country on the south. You have extremely big difference in the type of additional power capacity requirement we need between now and 2030. And once again, of course, there are some differences in solar or in wind, but the biggest difference is on gas, you know. Then gas is really the way to adjust to the uncertainty. And if the region succeeds in changing its energy mix, then the gas capacity will be greatly affected. And coal, you know, in all scenarios, is continuing to play a significant role, not only in capacity, but mainly in energy. Then gas is really the challenge for the region, and it depends on the success of the other means to try to change the energy mix. The adjustment will be made by gas, you know. And then, compared to what Bruno Wehmüller was saying today, you know, gas may have a strategic importance for the region, bigger as the energy transition is not made both in the north and in the south of the region. And this is what I wanted to put before you, in front of you, before to discuss, you know, the success and the challenges to develop renewable energy in a particular country of the region like Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Bruno, and thanks for the SKF for organizing this important gathering, talking about this energy. And in Jordan here, energy and water are important annexes. And always when we talk about energy and water, that means we are talking about something crucial, about something serious in our budget, about something related to our socio-economical impact as well. So we are glad about this gathering and to share really knowledge with you as well, and to hear from your experiences. I missed yesterday. I didn't been able to attend, but I heard the session before this, which is about the nuclear, and I think the ideas and the experiences that we heard through different three presentations really reflecting that's what type of knowledge that we need to share between our countries. Renewable energy is actually one of the main elements in our national strategy now. Jordan, depending on to diversify the source of energy. As you know, all of you, the prices and the fossil in the past 5 years being case to add more than 5 billion as a debt on our national electricity company. And this debt actually makes things very difficult on developing many issues related with our electricity industries. Recently, renewable energy became one of the main important projects that the government taken an action to support and to promote as well. Firstly was through issuing an important law which is related to renewable energy and energy efficiency law, and this was issued in 2012. This law actually been an important step forward in order to start design the rules and regulations related with mega projects as well as with all other small activities and the projects and actions related with renewable energy and energy efficiency. We've been lucky through this law issued in 2012 that Jordan Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Fund established. And this was an important sign from the government that we saying that we are going to make things better and more organized. And in order to convince as well others, the private sector as well as the donors, they put like seeds money with the 25 million Jordanian dinar at this fund. And with this, I think the government take an important action locally. However, through issuing the law of renewable energy, the rounds of mega projects investments started. So until now, Jordan is get success with round 1 and round 2, and now round 3 recently launched. We are expecting in 2018 that's 1,500 megawatt from renewable energy from mega projects will be on the grid. And an important parallel action taken, which is the Green Corridor project to expand the grid from the southern area to the northern area. With this actually important project to expand the grid, I think we will get success to ensure that almost 1,500 megawatt will be on the grid by mid of 2018. Round 3 now is processing, and the most important issue here that in the past 4 years or 5 years, a lot of rules and regulations became better and clear. And the transparency of implementing the projects actually through very clear steps through these rounds also an important issue. The second important sign that Jordan trying, and Ministry of Energy trying to find solutions for really technical problems. Green Corridor, one of them. one of those actually actions being taken. And this is a strategic project with the total cost of the Green Corridor is 150 million GOD. And this is makes all the projects already contracted or in round 3, which is 300 megawatt, will be easily entered to the grid. As for other also, this is when we talk about the mega projects. A lot of projects also joined to support the refugees camps and the other related projects for the local community, mainly in the northern area, which is related also with the refugees crisis. The most important umbrella issued here locally, which is Jordan Renewable Energy and the Energy Efficiency Fund, it comes up to design local projects, which is parallel to the mega projects. So covering sectors that nobody will work on, because mega projects mainly is related with mega investments, and the government sometimes will be part of it, but most of it will be actually implemented by the private sector. Hanna, he just came from an important event in the southern area in Ma'an, where His Majesty the King just launched a 12 project from the round 1. And we are proud of the private sector that Hanna represent here, of their efforts really of doing great job for Jordan. Jordan Renewable Energy and the Energy Efficiency Fund doing a parallel job, covering sectors that will not be covered through the mega projects. So we are making, in two parallel lines. Jordan Renewable Energy, Jarif, implementing now 9 programs. The first one is for schools. Schools, that's mean we have 2,600 schools. All of them, hopefully within next 8 years, they will be covered as electricity source from the rooftop PV panels, as well energy efficiency mitigation will be implemented in all of these schools. And this is a national project, long-term project, and looking forward to achieve its goals and objectives. And this project actually based on an initiative for the King Abdullah II, which is heating school. So to ensure that there is the comfortable environment inside the classes. The second important project for the households. Households in Jordan now covered by 3 projects. First project is solar water heaters, and here we are talking about energy efficiency. And second project is the PV. All the houses in Jordan now supported as a subsidy from the fund with 30% of the cost. And the other amount of the cost of the 2K for each home, for each house, it will be implemented through banks and different financial mechanisms. In this way, we will ensure that all the houses will be able to install PV in their rooftop and to depend on on solar for their electricity as a source. The third program for the households, which is related also for efficiency, is LED lamps. Jarif implementing a continuous program for the LED lamps. We are targeting a 1 million LED lamp by 2020. And this program will be implemented through the utilities. We have 3 utilities here in Jordan, and they are cooperating with us in implementing this. With solar water heater, we are supporting as a subsidy with 50% from the cost for all the households. So this is promising, and you can imagine if we collect all of these, saving and renewable energy will be generated from our rooftops. I think we will have have a very good figure at the end. The third program that we are implementing is governmental building. Governmental building, we are working on energy efficiency mitigations as well as renewable energy for the source. And the fourth program is the worship places. All the worship places, mosques and churches, now we are working on covering it needs from the electricity through the solar as well. And the fifth program, which is very, very important and have a socio-economical impact, which is for the SMEs. When talking about SMEs, 75% of the Jordanian companies and institutions is SMEs. So we are talking about our industrial sector, and we are talking mainly here about tourism sector. We just signed a 23 agreement with for the factories to support industrial sector with renewable energy and energy efficiency. Of course, always we are saying energy efficiency comes first, and after energy audit plan that we are granted to the company, after that we start implementing all the mitigation of energy efficiency and renewable energy at the end. So we just signed an agreement for 23 factories with a total cost of 10 million Jordanian dinar, and this year we will close 50 deals. And I think the impact of this will be important of increasing the competitiveness of the industrial sector as well as the tourism sector. Now we are implementing energy efficiency and renewable energy program for hotels in Petra and Wadi Rum, and this is with a total cost of 3.5 million. This kind of project actually increasing the competitiveness of our SMEs, as well as creating new job opportunities and keeping those SMEs in business, mainly because actually the situation that surrounded Jordan here from in Syria and Iraq, and really they are making crisis for our SMEs. In parallel to that, we have awareness programs and we have a capacity building program for our local partners, also supporting innovation. We have a unique program to support innovative ideas in energy efficiency and renewable energy. This type of programs that created by Jordan Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Fund, JREEF, is unique, and last year we've been recognized by the World Bank as a best governmental fund around the world, and because this diversity of the program and also this type of subsidy being introduced to different sectors. And the message was we should focus on other sectors, not just mega investment project. And this is really makes difference. I mean, if you can, if you invest each roof and make all the energy efficiency mitigations, that means you are saving 40% of your consumption at least. And this will cut costs of renewable energy. And this message was actually is vital and it's important, mainly for the countries that are facing a problem with the grid. Local grid, we have a problem here in Jordan, and not just the grid that transport electricity from the southern area to the northern area. The second important issue here in Jordan that really we get success of involving the private sector. The private sector here, renewable energy companies, as well as the financial institution. We have close and strong cooperation with the Central Bank. Central Bank introducing lump sum of money yearly to support energy sector. And we get a deal with the Central Bank to support all the programs of Jordan Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Fund, JREEF, through the commercial bank. So we signed 11 agreements with 11 commercial banks to support all of our programs through that with different financial mechanisms, mainly to Jarif will support all the interest rate for the beneficiaries and as well as the guarantees company. So in this way we can ensure that's the financing all the projects for the industrial sector, for the tourism sector, as well as for the households, even for 500 JD for the solar water heater. And this is great, so that any Jordanian household, they can go to the bank and asking for PV and solar water heater to be installed at his house. And in the second week, he will install it, and he will pay nothing as interest rate and as a guarantees, and he will pay a monthly payment, very small payment for the bank, which is not harming his cash flow, monthly cash flow. And in this way, we can really leverage money. Just an important sign here to say that Jarif budget in 2017 is a 12 million GOD. That means we are going to spend 12 million GOD, 12 million GOD. But the total cost of our project is 48 million GOD. And that means we are talking about $75 million. And this is the idea behind the fund, to leverage money. So imagine how many job opportunity we are creating just for this year, and Hannah can explain here about this, and how many jobs we keep actually for the existed one with the local companies, for the hotels, for the industrial sector, as well as for the private sector whom implementing our projects. Renewable energy companies in Jordan doing great and vital role, and we built a kind of partnership, strong partnership with them, and this is really reflected positively on our performance. So now we are all aligned to implement the projects. Recently we signed an important agreements with more than 6 companies. The solar water heater alone, our agreement for solar water heaters 2017 was 11 million GOD. That means $17 million. And this is an important for the energy efficiency implications. Also, an important issue of our partnership with the private sector is our partnership with the utilities, local utilities, electricity distribution utilities. This, historically there is consider that renewable energy if they're enemies as a source. But in fact, now they are involved in doing businesses related with renewable energy as well. So, because there is incentives, we are giving them incentives in order to get involved and not just to distribute electricity, which is a traditional role. So, as you can see just from this summary, that's the private sector and the governmental sector working together to design and to implement the project. Financing is there. Jarif leveraging money on different sectors in cooperation with the donors, the private sector as the banks, as well as the beneficiaries. As well, the donors are there on board. For example, we are now implementing an important project in Ajloun area and Jordan Valley with a 22 million. 15% cost sharing from Jarif and 85% cost sharing from the Canadian government as a grant. And this comes as because we propose this and we send a proposal to government of Canada, and the first reaction was, this is a great proposal. You are the first fund over the world saying for us, come, we would like to implement a project with you and cost sharing with you. And this methodology of work that we've been designed actually gives us really an important impression, not just for Jarif, also for Jordan, that's the government are committed in implementing and for the project and getting the project success in order to achieve our national goals and objectives. And thank you again. Thank you for inviting us as Jarif to be here on the panel, and I will leave the floor for Hannah.
Thank you, Rasmi. I think you covered it very well, and I'm not sure if there's anything left for me to say about the strategy or what to do about Jordan. But thank you, Bruno, for the introduction and giving us an overview of the energy situation in the Mediterranean and the requirements and needs for going forward. Just to link this session to the session to the previous session, where we were talking about nuclear, and now we're talking about renewable energy here. There is a strong linkage there. That's the largest nuclear plant that actually drives renewable energy is sitting in our solar system, which is the sun, and generating all this energy and bombarding us with all this energy. In fact, if you look at coal, if you look at gas, if you look at oil, originally they are all originated from these photons that we get bombarded with. If you look at wind, it's solar energy at the end of the day. The difference in temperature that's created by the energy that's in the photon creates all that. So I think the photon is something that is really magical, and that we need to, although it's very small, minute, and we still don't understand it fully, I think we need to appreciate it very much in that sense. Having said that, renewable energy creates a huge opportunity in terms of developing or going into a new type of businesses that we haven't seen before, or we didn't get entangled with before. Originally, the idea about the energy model, which is you have the fuel, and then you have the plant, and then you have the distribution. And today, if you take the cost of the fuel out of that component of this structure, then this is something that's really disruptive, whether we like it or not. And renewable energy, in my view, it's here to stay and even to grow further, because one of the basic elements of the cost is gone, which is it's free. What we are getting out of renewable energy. The intermittency itself, it opens new doors for us, because especially with the technological improvement and the technological advancement that we see today, if we can store that energy, and if we can move that energy in a way where it's been based on the demand, and if we can manage that energy in a way that can support our behavior or activities, that by itself opens a new horizon for us. And this is what we see today in the convergence between energy, communication, information technology. And if you put them all together, then we're talking about what we call smart grid. But it's something beyond that. It's not an ICT as we see it, as we saw it before. It's ICET, the way I call it here today: information technology, communication, energy technologies. If you put them all together, then you have something that's really, you can bring new ideas. I'll give you one example. Okay, imagine the mobile that you carry today in your hand. Okay, the weakest thing in this mobile today, it's battery, and when you're gonna store it, right? When you're gonna fill it, when you lose the energy in it. Imagine if you're walking in a hallway, and you have a wireless electricity, and the sockets in the hallway communicate with your mobile, and notice that your battery charge is going down and it needs to be charged, and you have different type of operators or different type of service providers, and each one starts to fight with you to charge your battery at the lowest cost. That will happen very soon. whether we like it or not. Imagine when the appliances at your home, they start to talk to each other. Okay, when should I start the dishwasher? When should I reinitiate the refrigerator and things like that, in order to capitalize on the lowest cost of energy that might be provided to my home? Just imagine all this. Imagine you're driving a car, an electric car that you can charge it, and the battery is a storage. When you go at work and you stop, then there is no use of that battery. You might be able to discharge that energy for the location that it needs that energy, and you can build so many scenarios on this. So intermittency by itself, it's something, I see it in a way it's good, because it pushes us to think in a different way of how to manage and to handle energy. Imagine if I can capture that photon and keep it for a while hanging there, and then move it to somewhere else, slow it down. There are experiments that's going on around like this in the world these days. That will open in new ideas. It will help humanity and take it in a different type of dimension that we and in things that we didn't see before. But imagine all that, and you combine that with water and food nexus. Today, there are containers where you grow your type of food based on energy and water, with the minimal needed type of energy and water, and you don't use chemicals. There are food factories today that you can have them next to the population instead of transporting them. Today, if we have a cutoff in energy somehow, we can't transport food. People will die from hunger. We can't do irrigation. We can't do a lot. We can't do communication. So it's an infrastructure that's extremely vital, that we grew up with without noticing that it is extremely vital for us, same as water, as food. But we need to start to manage it, because all these are limited resources, whether we like it or not, and those, they affect humanity and they affect everybody. In Jordan, I think since we import most of our energy, we have noticed that there's a strong need for us to have a different type of program, diversified type of program, where we can utilize different type of technology, be it nuclear, be it oil shale, be it gas, be it renewable, and that actually was mostly initiated in 2008, when oil prices went up so high, 147 a barrel, and then at the same time, we have, after that, the Arab Spring, and we got the cutoff from gas from Egypt, and we needed, then we started to import diesel and oil at a very high cost. That put a burden on our economy of around $6 billion, because we had to do that, and because we used to depend 85% on our energy from the gas from Egypt. $8 billion? Sorry, $8 billion. I thought $6 billion. And that burden did, I think, give us a lesson where we need to diversify our energy resources. And you look today about in Jordan, we have so many programs going in different type of direction for different type of energy resources. As Rasmi said, probably by 2018 we'll have 1,500 mega of renewable energy on the grid, but probably in 2020 we're talking about over 2,000 mega is going to be there available. I just came today from the commissioning of 210 mega solar plants in the south. With His Majesty was there and initiated and commissioned these plants. So there's a strong support for all these type of diversified energy projects that we have in Jordan. At the same time, these type of projects create jobs. When we started in 2008, probably we were the only company talking about renewable energy at that time, although I was working also on uranium exploration and oil shale projects also here in Jordan, and that's how I came to because I saw so much desert and the grid from the south to the north, so why don't put solar? That's how the idea came, frankly. That because I used to go with these geologists on uranium exploration and oil shale exploration. Today we have over 1,600 companies in Jordan working on renewable energy, believe it or not. Distributed solar energy is so important because with the new available technology today, you can have actually a virtual plant. And if you have storage, you can even enhance that plant with that storage. That's why I'm really excited on collaborating with Rasmi here on having 2 megawatt solar projects for 1,000 houses, because this is going to be the pilot for what I'm trying really to do and achieve in Jordan, to start to initiate the solar, the virtual energy plants, and then have a platform of information technology type of solutions to order to manage and operate these plants and have them ready to help the existing other fossil fuel plants. Thank you.
We probably have time for some questions. Yes.
First of all, thank you very much for that very interesting and impressive presentation of what's on. I was involved in the early stages, I think something around 7 years ago in different projects, and back then it was a little bit disappointing to see how the Ministry of Energy actually looking into the renewable energy back then, and it took some time for the government to admit actually that renewable energy should be part of the mix and should be a significant part of the mix. But what we heard today is actually showing that everything is on the right track. I have two main questions. One of them is related to what Mr. Hanna said about 1,600 companies working in renewable energy now in Jordan, mainly solar energy, and how is that being regulated? Like how is the regulator making sure that these companies are providing the right service for the people, and we will not get into the point that we have lots of systems installed that are not meeting the standards or not being operational the right way. And the second question is for mainly for the government side, but there is, I will assume that the fund represents the government here. It's the integration of the smart grid in the whole picture here, and how if there is any plans with the Green Corridor or with all the distribution systems there, if the smart grid will be considered as well. Thank you.
Okay. If you may, I might be able to answer the one for the regulation. Actually, recently, EMRC Energy and Mineral Regulatory Commission started the regulation of the company that working on the renewable energy, and they issued a license. I think today they issued around 45 licenses or something like that. And these are the companies that they would be allowed to do installation and designing these systems. Nevertheless, you will still find other companies that they will still be able to work in a different type of environment. But at least for the government, for the governmental tenders and for the large-scale tenders, things like that, you have to have a license in order to be able to collaborate, in order to be able to build, to design, build, and construct these renewable. So this is something really just started recently, 2-3 months ago or something like that, and I think this is the right way of going forward. As you want me to talk about the smart grid also? Okay. As for the smart grid and integration of smart grid, also today, if you look at the distribution companies in Jordan, which is EDCO, IDECO, and JEPCO, they start to take on implementing smart meters, and we start to see today also smart meters for water actually also in that. Having the smart meters available for you, you can communicate with them either wirelessly or through fiber. And the minute if you can communicate with these smart meters, then you have the opportunity to start to control and regulate the energy going to that meter, and you can take it from there. Smart meters today that they are installed today, most of the time they are in a way what we call net meters, so they can take energy either from the system that you generate or from the grid, depending on the sensors that you have in the inverters at a certain point in time. So if you have these platforms, I think you can build on top of that. And today we start to see a great shift in the distribution companies in they are implementing technologies, softwares, and hardwares that will support them to control their distribution networks. The same thing we see at NEPCO with the SCADA systems that they have and other systems that they are embarking on installing and having as the backbone for managing the whole system.
Thank you, Hannah, for this. As any new market, you will find a lot of incentives and find people encouraged to go and to start working with this. It's easy to enter business. It's easy to install PV on rooftop or in a restaurant or something like this. This is what happened in the new markets. And Jordan actually from 3-4 years really started like this. And this is healthy. This is good. But I believe with market. I believe personally with market that you are as consumer, you will start separate and you will have a very short list of options to work with. Very short list of the companies. For example, we at Jordan Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Fund, what we did, because we will be the contractor, we are hiring those companies to implement the job on behalf of Jarif. And this is a governmental money. So we didn't win to the tenders. For example, we actually designed a system for qualifications. So to qualify a list of companies. So for the banks, we sent 13 companies just who passed our qualification system according to the rules and regulations. Now, if you are a client, you can go to the bank, they will give you a list with the 3 companies to tell you, go and select from this list your service provider. And we also determine the ceiling of the amount. For example, for the for the solar PVs, we determine 750 JD, like $1,000 for 1K. And for solar water heater, we determine 500 JD, $750. And if you would like to buy a solar water heater with $1,000 or $2,000, go, but my subsidy will be up to $750. So the market actually make itself better through better services. And now, if any client in Amman saying, whom actually would like to buy from, who's my service provider, you will not have a list more than 10 companies in just after a few phone calls. So I think the market will make things better. And as Hannah mentioned, that there is many procedures by EMRC, who's organizing the sector in order to ensure that the companies will be better. As for the net metering, I am a member on EDCO company, and we are implementing with them through this company very smart net metering and using up-to-date systems like SCADA and others. So really, our utilities doing great job now, and they just started, and you will note that soon. That's all the net metering, net smarting, reading, your electricity bill from their center, and also now implementing different services through this smart metering, even disconnecting your meter. Yeah. So I think they are doing a good job now.
Yeah, so very interesting presentations. I just wanted to try to connect Bruno's introduction with what you guys were saying later on. So we heard about these Marrakesh commitments from various different countries, including Jordan. So we heard about the Marrakesh commitments from various countries, including Jordan. So what fraction do you expect of the Jordan energy use will be renewable? And what fraction of the Marrakesh commitments are going to be met by the work that you're doing?
Actually, we've been very active in Paris. I participated personally with the negotiations, and I've been with the team of designing even the agreement in different committees. And we've been in discussion, bilateral discussion with more than 20 countries. And I know, if you're saying that the weight between countries and the policies, the goals, objectives, but really we played an important role with this, because at that time, being saying Jordan, we are committed with all INDC's targets that's determined. And we've been also committed with the international climate change goals and objectives that should be achieved. And Paris, for us, been success. And we signed the agreement officially. In Marrakesh, in Paris, we announced and committed with our INDCs, which is 14%. And we've been from, a very limited countries from the Middle East to do this. And even we've been in discussion with our, brothers from the Arab world regarding why you should commit this, why you should, what the role of private sector, what the role of NGOs, what all of these, ethical issues, let's say, they say, but we've been committed that we need to be part of this active action. So we signed the agreement after a while, and in Marrakesh, we announced our NEAP, our National Energy Efficiency Plan, as well as in another side event, we announced our REAP, our Renewable Energy our renewable energy plan. And this is actually no other country in the region announced this. So we are committed, and last week I've been in an important gathering for the UNDP and UN for the INDC's meeting, and we are in vital committees who following up the KPIs for this. So Jordan, through Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Fund and Ministry of Energy and Ministry of Environment, whom actually we are following up this, and we are committed with this. And last week in Berlin, 250 members from 80 countries, and Jordan we had a very important panel discussion for 1 hour and a half. It's about INDC's Jordan and our National Energy Efficiency Plan and our contribution with INDCs with different sectors. So we are online with this and on board.
Oh, I just have one question without taking too much time. You mentioned, as far as technologies are concerned, you mentioned solar water heater, solar PV. What share of wind you have, or what is your policy regarding the other technology in renewables?
And you can see it. Maybe I want to finish. Hanna, I can answer this, but I would like just to mention that we have the biggest wind farm in the region, 117 megawatt. So I think it's there, and we have another 3 farms now under building and commissioning for the government even.
Yeah. Our targets for renewable energy is around 10% by 2020, and probably will be having more than that. It will be more than that. And if you talk about operational, if you talk about electricity, probably it will be around 25% from the electricity, not the energy. It's in total. And frankly, I was counting over 1,900 to 2,000 mega of renewable energy. Of that, not less than 700 mega is wind, and the majority is solar. Utility solar is around 1,200 of that. So there's also a good bulk of distributed solar projects that's going on there. Today, I think around 135 mega of distributed solar all over Jordan, and they range between a couple of kilos up to probably some of them 5 mega or 6 mega type of projects in that. And some of them are net metering, and some of them are wheeling where you generate energy and you consume it at a different place than where you generate. So we have all these different type of models that we use, and frankly, having them also gives us a very good experience, because not just experience in terms of how to handle and manage that energy also, but also the type of laws, regulations, and legal framework that you need to have behind these in order to be able to support on that. And that's actually put us in the front in terms of collaboration between the private and public sector, because without that it will be extremely difficult to bring out the proper regulations that will help move these projects forward. Thank you.
The technology, I think we are relying on technology with renewable energy and energy efficiency. I don't know, I imagine that after 2, 3, 4, 5 years, the technology will change maybe our calculation regarding our electricity. And we at GREEF really in implementing our projects and achieving our goals and objectives and KPIs in general, really I'm relying on technology. I think for example, the batteries. I think within the next couple of years we will have like a revolution in batteries and the off-grid systems as well. This is also will change our rules and regulations. I always saying for utilities when we start our negotiations with them, telling them, remember the telecommunications company in the 19s. This is what I told them. They ignored the mobile. They ignored, the cell phones, and you have to pay a lot of efforts and pay a lot of money to have a landline at your home. For example, here in Jordan. But after 10 years, they've been out of business because the technology. And exactly this is what's happening. If you are as utilities, you will consider your work as distribute electricity. You will be out of business after 5, 6, 10 years because at that time nobody will need you to distribute electricity because they will have their own off-grid systems.
Well, then, thank you very much. I think it's time to close the session. And,